So what are OKRs, Daniel?
So OKRs are objectives and key results, and it's a way of setting ourselves the key things that we want to measure, and it allows us to work in an agile way, in a kind of looping and iterative kind of way.
So let's start with objectives then. What are objectives?
So objectives are memorable, qualitative descriptions of what we want to achieve. They should be short, inspirational, engaging, and they should motivate and challenge the team.
And what about key results?
So the key results are then the sets of metrics that we're going to use to measure our progress towards achieving that particular objective. And generally, you don't have more than 5, because otherwise there's too many things. And that's kind of one of the key things here, is what this is trying to say is there's a whole load of things we could be measuring, and there's a load of metrics out there. But actually, if we measure these things, we're doing our job. We're doing what we should be doing.
I think when you're presenting these, it's really important you try and focus on like what actually matters to the business. Like one of the problems with things like this is you can come up with these reports, particularly marketing, come up with reports and like present the results and nothing changes and no one seems to take any notice. It's because you've just put the focus on the wrong thing. So a little technique I always do when you've got certain key results, always ask yourself a very hard and poignant, yes, so what? So you present the key what, yes, so what? What does that mean? And you have to spell it out sometimes. Because actually, when you're close to a project, it might be obvious to you. But if you don't spell it out to the people you're presenting these results to, then actually, you're your own worst enemy, and nothing's going to change. And then you wonder why. It's like, well, what was the point of that?
Yeah, that's the thing with OKRs is that every part of the organization should be setting OKRs, and you can essentially have an organizational set of OKRs. So that's the whole organization. But then each team have their own, even down to individuals having their OKRs as well. But what becomes really important then is that we look at them and say, do they align? Because if somebody over here is trying to do this and somebody here is trying to do something different and they don't align with one another, that can cause conflict and problems. So the whole point of this is that we go through, we do these, and then everyone buys in, exactly as Kieran says, these are the right key results. If you do that, you're doing your job.
So can you give an example of how someone might use OKRs?
Yeah, so it's a real simple one. So you say, well, our objective is create an awesome customer experience. So that's the inspiration for the team. That's what we're trying to do. And then we might take some key measures. So it could be net promoter score, could be repurchase rate, customer acquisition cost. But you clearly define we want to take it from X to Y. So it's kind of like a smart objective. There's a clear metric against that.
And is there anything else that we need to know?
Yeah, the way of making this work, you set the OKRs and it's like, okay, that's great. But then you have to do these regular meetings. And in those regular meetings, whether if that's organizationally, it might be annually, whereas in a team, it might be monthly or even weekly, you look at your OKRs and say, what progress have we made since we last met? Are we confident that we're going to be able to achieve these OKRs? What's getting in our way of achieving them? And what we're going to do to improve things? And the idea of it is, that's really nice, is that you say, okay, let's refocus on what's important. But actually, what are we going to do to move this along? How are we going to remove any impediments? And actually, what are our next steps? And then you do that stuff, and then you look at it again, and you iterate. So it's agile working in that way. So it's a great methodology for implementing agile working.
It's really focused, and it's a great way of not simply being a busy fool.
Yeah,
I've seen it in organizations. You simply become busy fools, a slave to the process. No, this is questioning, it's searching, it's refocusing constantly, and it's keeping things on track.